Alright, what's going on, everybody? Today we got the SIG P365, the new game changer from SIG. It's the pretty darn small guns that holds 10 plus 1 or 12 with a pretty small extended magazine, and a size comparable to the Shield, if not a little bit smaller in some areas than the Shield. But we're not here to talk about it today. We're to tear it down, see how it works and what it looks like on the inside, and show you guys how to put this thing, take it apart and put it back together. So let's just jump right in. Gun's clear. We'll take it, do your field strip. You should all know how to do this by now. It's in your manual. Take your striker and barrel out, or recoil spring and barrel out. We'll start with the slide here. Now, what I'll do is, I'm trying to get light that's sitting here right, and we'll try to make sure you guys can see it. But if you look right here, let me get my looking through the camera. There's a little detent that looks like it's on a spring right there. So what you really need to do is just push down on the firing pin block. You can just push it down with your finger. Take a little flathead, push that down, and then you can slide the back plate off. That wasn't something falling, that's the cat. Somehow he got out here. And then you can pull your striker out. And this little booger's been causing all kinds of problems with this gun. This is the Gen 2, if you want to call it that, model. It's got the SIG X-ray sights on it. The firing pin block came out at the same time. Just light back up here so it's not as bad. And it's a little spring. It just sits in here. It's got a little groove. It's kind of hard to mess up, and then it goes back in. Spring facing. It's just got a pocket that goes down in there. But we'll put it back together later. From there, you can take out your extractor if you want. We'll go ahead and drive it out. Now, you don't need to take it all the way out. In fact, I don't even know if you can get it all. I mean, sure you can, but there's no point. So, pin pop out of the top. You got your extractor and spring. Now, I'm going to warn you putting that back. Ooh, and a little detent. Okay. Got a little plastic piece in here. Let's make sure nothing's broke. It looks like it just goes inside the spring there. Okay, because nothing's broke off here. This is the first time I've had this apart. It's all smooth. Nothing of the pin itself is broke. It's got plenty of room to capture everything and go where it needs to go. So it just went down inside the in the spring there. So you don't have to take this out for general cleaning. I mean, it's when you have to drive the roll pin back, it kind of can be a pain in the ass. There's a few guns like that I've taken apart that can be kind of a pain. But from there, your slide is stripped on your 365. Besides taking your sights off, which I'm not going to do, they're dovetailed. Push them out with a sight pusher or punch, however you want to do it. These are the X-ray sights, so in my opinion, there's no need to change them. I love the X-ray sights. I liked them on the Legion. That was one of the things I did like about the Legion. Not saying that it's not a great gun, but it was just kind of, I wasn't super wild, but we're not talking about that. I will probably buy another one here soon. I want a single action 226 or a 220 10 mil. But yeah, slides apart. Let's start on the frame. Get these little bugs off here. It's pouring down rain outside. Got one pin to drive out right here in the back. So just take a little punch, and you don't need to hit this hard at all. Just give it a slight tap. It's gonna pop right out. Pull that pin out and set it apart. From there, if you guys got 320s, this is gonna look pretty familiar when you pour this out. Boom, frame is done. So it's all one piece. Which kind of, you know, it's similar to the SIG 320 modularity. So maybe they're going to do something else with this one day. I doubt it. I'm sure it's just easier for them to manufacture and do things like this. So I don't see what they really could do besides make the frame, you know, even smaller and hold less rounds. But then that's kind of defeats the purpose, I guess. So who knows? Frame's out. Frame's done. Now from here, I'm going to try to zoom in. So bear with me here. I'll zoom in and out and do the best I can. Put all our parts over there. Grab another little cup. Put that in there. Okay, so from here, what do you want to start with? You got a few different options. I'll recommend you start with the slide lock. So lift it up just a little bit. Pull your takedown lever out. And then from there, your firing pin block, or not firing pin block, your damn slide lock, just kind of lift up and pull out. Now you have a little spring that holds it in there, and you'll see when you go to put it back together that it's kind of a pain. I just kind of messed with it a little bit, and it'll come out just like that. So if you see, if you look down in there, my pointer, you got your spring that sits in there, and I don't see any reason to take that out. It's going to be, I'm sorry about that. I get confused which camera this side's sitting on. There's no point to really taking that spring out. From here, you can do I'm trying to do this in the right order because putting this back together, there's a couple different ways that not necessarily it'll go back together. You can get it back together in ways, but it makes it a lot easier to do it in certain steps. So we can go ahead and take the slide lock or the takedown lever out by, if you look down in here, you'll see how the takedown lever works. It goes, I'm sorry, I keep doing that. I forget I zoomed in. This bar goes, and it's got a little loop, and it goes up into the takedown lever. And you'll see me struggle with that when we put it back together. So now if I'm going to try to reverse how I did this last time, I'm just going to kind of go back, and you can pull it out of there, out of that little slot. Get your lever in the right spot here, and just kind of because if you look on the back, you can only rotate this up so far to take it out. So rotate it up, and you can kind of get it out of this little groove it's in. Yeah, I did not have this much trouble the first time. I just kind of can't remember exactly. It's been a few days since I put it back together, so I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to get it all back out. There we go. Just kind of pull it out of there. So now it's out of its groove. You can kind of set this off to the side, and you'll see where it comes together back here. So really, you don't even have to remember the orientation on it. It comes out one way, it goes in one way. Take down lever, rotate the pin so it comes back, and then just pull it out. Set it off to the side. You can do, let's do your trigger bar here. Now, it's a good idea. I don't care how long you've been working on guns or how many you've taken apart. I've taken apart, I mean, I don't know, I can't even count. I always take pictures. It doesn't hurt to, especially on new guns you've never done before, and the new way technology is working. You know, the way they put things together. It doesn't hurt to take pictures of it before you take it apart. That way you know exactly where everything's at. If you see something that, like this little bar that goes in a certain way, you'll know which way it goes back together. You know, it doesn't mean anything. Right here, we'll take out this spring. So this spring wraps around and hooks. It hooks in right here on this metal, comes through a little hole, comes up here, and then just hooks on the trigger bar. So just kind of push it with your finger and lift it up. That'll come out. Now it's hooked to the trigger itself. right now, and we can leave it alone. We'll take this spring out so it doesn't get lost and set it to the side. Now the trigger itself kind of comes out a little funky, so what you want to do is kind of, if I remember, let's see, if I remember right, there's a roll pin through here. You can only go through the small side. It's not even a roll pin, just pushes out. The only pin that you have to hammer on this, and you don't even have to hammer, is the frame pin. So just push that little pin out right through this hole. Just a little black pin. And there, now you can take your trigger out. So it just kind of comes back. You just kind of rotate it back and forth till it comes out. And the trigger bar will come off. And you got your trigger. It's pretty much done. From here, now you have, let's see, we'll go, trying to save you guys this. You can slide this up here. Take that out, remember which way it goes in. With the facing down, this goes obviously where your rails are. So it goes up towards the rails. Put that in your pile of parts, just remember where everything goes. And from here, so I'll grab a little help. No, I don't need help actually. I'll just push it out. Got this bar here that holds it holds up the plunger that pushes up on the firing pin block right here. So remember which way you take this out, because this is the only thing that holds that in. Now it's gonna fall out here, and it goes in. You got a pointy end, a sharp end, and more of a rounded edge right here. So this end goes up, and this is right here is what pushes on the firing pin block when you gun back. So there's that, and this is the bar that holds it. So what I did, take that all the way out, and putting it back in be kind of a pain. The hardest part of this that took me the longest was getting the sear spring back in its right orientation. You know, it wasn't, not that it was hard, but it just didn't want to go where it wanted to go. And then after he did, you have to put this pin back through, and part of the spring comes down into that little hole right there, right here. And you have to go in with a punch from the other side, lift that spring up, and then quickly push this pin in underneath it. Because if you try to put that pin in first and then set the spring, I couldn't do it. Maybe somebody else can, but I physically couldn't. I sat for almost 30 minutes trying to set that spring on there, get it under the lifter, and, you know, not to throw you off, it's not a hard teardown at all. It's actually pretty easy. So we'll go ahead and take that. Go ahead and take your sear out next. So it's got a one-way headed pin right here. I hope my light's good enough. I can't tell. So this pin, you just push it from the other side. Bigger punch. Push it out. Then your sear and spring is all gonna fall out at once. Put that in your pile of parts, and it's done. SIG P365 is now completely stripped and taken apart. That's it, besides that spring, which I don't recommend taking out. What's the point? I mean, clean her all up now. You know, if you've went and shot 1,000 rounds and you made it through, now it's time to put her back together. So let's see where I'm at here. I'm about 13 minutes in. I think I'm gonna go ahead and separate this into a second video. Just to keep it short, because taking it apart's a lot easier than putting it back together. So we'll go ahead and make a second video. I'll go ahead and put a link for it right up here in the corner. Should be there. I'll have them try to post them simultaneously so nobody's jumping around and has their gun apart in 30 pieces and don't know how to put it back together. So thanks for watching. I hope it helps. We'll go ahead and get started on the assembly now, and we'll see you at that video.